Unlock the secrets to perfect photo sharpening. Tired of sifting through endless YouTube tutorials? In this video, I have listed for you the essential tips and tricks of photo sharpening in post-processing without drowning you in technical jargon. Get ready to transform your photography game. Hey, I'm David, photography enthusiast, loving to share knowledge. As some say, sharing is progressing. Sharpening might seem complex with entire books on the subject. Yet you don't need to dive too deep to create some stunning photographies. I will share the essential post-processing sharpening insights. Remember that sharpening, whatever happens, are principles, and this can be applied to most editing software. Let's dive in. Before we begin, here are some essential notes to remember. First of all, sharpening is always done on raw images. The JPEGs are already sharpened in camera. Second point, sharpening is only the process of enhancing perceived sharpness of the image by modifying the contrast at pixel edges. By no means you can fix a bad image with sharpening in post-processing. By bad image, I mean autofocus, camera movement, or subject movement. It's also important to note that sharpening introduces noise and artifacts, so you always want to maintain the levels of sharpening pretty low, and also this enables you to have a more realistic image. As some of you may already know, there are three types of sharpening in post-processing. The first type of sharpening is input sharpening or capture sharpening. At this point, we're only trying to recover the lost sharpness that was produced while taking the image. Every step of image capture introduces a bit of softness, sometimes more. Raw images are always slightly unsharp, which is normal. This sharpening is done before any other sharpening and is applied globally on the image, but it must remain subtle as we're just looking to recover the original sharpness and eliminate the softness introduced by the capturing in camera. Let's now see how it's done. As usual, our first step will be to apply some input sharpening to remove the softness of the image. The first thing I want to do is zoom in. For this video, I will be zooming at 200%, but you can usually leave it at 100%. To correct the softness, we'll be applying some deconvolution sharpening. It is a very complex technique in the background, but very simple to apply in Lightroom. All you have to do is go to the details panel, put the radius at the minimum, which is 0.5, put the details at 100%, and the masking to 0. For the amount, you usually want to stay between 20 and 70 or 80, depending on the image. But you have to find a good value, you have to try and see the value that enables you to get the most details without adding any artifact or noise. A quick tip when you will be applying it is to press the option on Mac, Alt on Windows while you are sliding. This will show you the image in grayscale and enable better visualization of what you are doing. So as you can see, at 0 there is absolutely no deconvolution applied, and while you go up, you start getting a good value. If you go totally at 150, which is the maximum, you will see this way too much. The image is noisy and has a lot of artifact appearing. So, as I told you, you want to stay between 20 usually and 80 at the maximum, even though 80 is a lot. For this image, I think I will leave it at about 60. Remember that we are not looking to sharpen the image, we are just looking to recover the lost sharpness due to various steps during the image capture in the camera. So there we can already visualize the effects. Before, very, very soft. After, we remove most of the softness. We zoom at 100%, you see the image is pretty good looking already. That's it. As you see, it was pretty simple. Now let's see about the only inconvenience with that is that it can only be done in Lightroom or Photoshop using Camera Raw. Well, we are done with this step. Now we'll go on our processing and pass to the creative sharpening or local sharpening. Creative sharpening, also known as local sharpening, is a stage of where you enhance specific zones of the image. This technique is used to draw the user's attention by enhancing the eyes, for example, in a portrait, or texture in the landscape to make them stand out and make them more visually attractive, creating more visually appealing and dynamic photos. Unlike input sharpening, which is used to restore the sharpness lost during the capture, creative sharpening is more an artistic sharpening. Creative sharpening allows you to emphasize some zones of the image for artistic or aesthetic reasons. Now that we are done doing the basic editing on the image, such as cropping, exposure, maybe saturation, we will apply some sharpening on the bird because we would like it to pop a bit more compared to the rest. In order to do so, we will go to the masking panel and select for the masking. As you know, for the masking we have various options, but for this image specifically we can use object selection, which should give some pretty good results. Here we go. Not bad at all. The selection is not perfect, but we can use it still. We'll not lose too much time on being pixel perfect. Now that the selection is done, we'll zoom in at 100%, always 100%, to better visualize what we are doing. From here, we will go down to the effects group. There we have two cursors. The one that we want to use is the texture. The texture affects only the small details, but we'll go very subtle as usual. We don't want the bird to look fake, because if we go at 100%, as you can see, the bird is looks more like a worm than like a bird. So we go up slowly until we find what seems to be good. I think we can leave it at about 20 seems a good value. Because you see before, after, and we zoom at 200% so you can visualize better maybe. Before, after. Before, after. 100%, you see it's almost perfect, and when you fit the screen, it is actually not bad at all. Well, I think we can leave it so for this part. We don't want to sharpen more. We could sharpen maybe a bit the roof on which the bird is on, but for this, well done for this image. As you can see, the bird is sharpened as we wanted. We can see before, after. Before the image was very soft, and now after the image is much more detailed. Here we go, we are done for this part. Let's move on to output sharpening. Output sharpening, also known as final sharpening, is the last step of photography editing. It's all about making sure that the image looks its best at its final intended form, whether it is print or digital screen. Unlike creative sharpening, which enhances specific details, output sharpening is a process of ensuring that the image clarity and sharpness appears crisp and well-defined to the final viewer. This step tailors the sharpening to the specific medium and resolution in which the image will be displayed, whether it is high-resolution print or web publication. Now that we are satisfied with our image, we want to export it either for printing or for publishing on Instagram or Facebook or anything else. In Lightroom, in most software, it's very simple. We don't have much choice anyhow. We must go to the export screen. On the export screen, Lightroom gives you very little options in the output sharpening. You have the option to sharpen or not. This is important because if, for example, you are using an online printing service, sometimes apply sharpening to the image that they receive before printing. So you usually don't want to apply sharpening on your image before because it can create some strange side effects. That being said, we'll select sharpening. From here you have three options: screen, paper, and glossy paper. The screen option will be used for any form of digital diffusion of the image. For example, publishing on a website, publishing on Instagram or Facebook. There you can select also the level of sharpening. Low, standard or high. Normally you can leave it as standard. If the image will be printed, you will want to select kind of paper that will be used, matte or glossy. This option depends purely on the type of paper that will be used. You just have to select the one you want and you're good to go. Export and it's done. As I told you, you don't have much control, but it is still good to know. That's it for this presentation about sharpening. I try to keep it as simple as possible. I didn't want to show you too many different. I tried to keep it as simple as possible. I did not want to provide too many technical details, but remember that there are many different techniques for sharpening. For this presentation, I only used Lightroom, but you can do some very good sharpening in Photoshop or even in Affinity Photo. I hope that this presentation has brought to you interesting information. And as usual, if you have any questions or suggestions, please don't hesitate to leave a comment below. I will be happy to hear about you. If this video has brought anything to you, please like it. And if you want to be notified for my next videos, please click on that notification bell and subscribe. Thanks. See you soon.